up? What up? Let's get it. Welcome to this episode. What is this? 91? Welcome to episode 91 of the Manistee Local Podcast. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for episode 100. I think that's kind of a big deal, don't you? When I started this little thing, I think I really started sitting down and air quotes podcasting really hard, really focused on it within the last 2 years. I started about 5 years ago, just interviewing local entrepreneurial talent around town, which I still do because I totally dig it. I've said shit like this before. I feel like I'm an entrepreneur who's trying to put a dent in the universe, and I want to surround myself with like-minded individuals who, have a vision, have a goal to not only just build a business, but to also build community. Wow, how was that for a kickoff to the show? Big news coming, guys. Big news coming. A little under the weather, I got to be honest with you. I feel like I got a little something coming on in the throatal region. Kind of difficult to swallow. That's what she said. Nice. Let's start it off with a raunchy joke, dude. Okay, this. Vitamin C. Electrolytes. 10 milligrams of creatine because I'm a fucking savage and I'm soldiering through it. This episode is brought to you by the Ramsdell Regional Center for the Arts. You can find them online at www.ramsdaletheater.org, or you can reach them by phone at 231-398-9770. Our friends over at the Ramsdell Regional Center for the Arts want to let you know about something that's going down on March 9th. It's their Irish night, and the event kicks off with the spirited tunes of the Black House Monks, setting the perfect tone for a night filled with traditional medleys and contemporary twists. As the spotlight intensifies, the main act takes center stage with the renowned Kennedy's Kitchen. Known for their captivating performances and soul-stirring Irish repertoire, Kennedy's Kitchen promises to deliver an unforgettable experience for all music enthusiasts. The music starts at 6 p.m., so check the website for the ticketing information. That's www.ramsdaletheater.org. This episode is brought to you by Brandon Ball, broker-owner of Dwelling Realty, Keller Williams, Northern Michigan. Are you looking to sell your home? Then look no further. When you list your home with Brandon Ball, you'll get a trusted advisor who will guide you through the entire selling process. With extensive knowledge of the local market, he'll help price your home competitively to attract the right buyers. And with proven marketed strategies, your home will be seen by the most qualified of buyers. With 17 years in the business, you'll have someone experienced who's on your side. Contact Brandon today to get started selling your home. 231-690-4981. That's 231-690-4981. Or Brandon at dwellingrealty.com. For those of you just listening, that's a little drinky I'm sipping on all day today. Big news. I think I already said that, but I didn't tell you what it is. Big news. Found a dope-ass spot to continue the podcast. I'm still down at the Manistee Beverage Company location, cleaning up. I got 7 years of shit that I just can't get up on top of. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of picking away at it daily. And then my ADD brain is kind of like when I'm talking on the podcast. I just fucking go on these tangents and I forget where I was. But anyways, I'm trying to zone in on it, one little section at a time. So yeah, the new space, literally a block and a half down the street, almost the same size. It's like 2,000 square feet, fucking crazy. And I can't wait to make it my own. We're going to pretty it up. It's already really kind of a dope spot. Not much is going to change, but going to focus on the window space. The window space in this new spot is very large, which I dig. So there's a lot of openness to it. So I'm going to try to kind of dial that down a little bit I'm going to put some really nice window displays in and kind of block off a section of it so that you can't see everything that's going on in the store, because Daddy likes his privacy, especially when I'm podcasting. But I'm excited. I can't wait to do like a walkthrough, a pre-walkthrough, and then kind of show you what it looks like when I've got it mostly set up. So it's a little rustic, as those in the real estate business would say. It needs a little TLC, but it's still fresh as shit. You know, that could be a whole lot I'm going to have to do with it. So I'm excited to kind of move down there. It's got, you know, the people that own the property are super, super awesome individuals, really good humans, and I'm excited to work with them and move forward. So, yeah, it's dope. It's, you know, my wife kept on saying, just wait. Something's going to fall in your lap. The universe is going to hook you up. Because I was struggling to find a place. You know, I mean, I'm not pulling from one business to pay for another. Folks, if you've been listening to my content, you got to understand. You got to recognize the hustle, but also you don't rob Peter to pay Paul. In business, it's always smart to do what you can with what you have. And I'm not going to take from one business to fund another. And so I'm very budget conscious when it comes to my businesses, right? The podcast only has so much income. And currently right now, it's not a whole lot. So the percentages have to work out in my favor. And I was looking at a lot of spots that were really nice. That would have been great, but they were just out of my budget, out of the budget for the podcast. And this one, I had one that I had basically a verbal on, like, yeah, I would take it. You know, the size of a bedroom, probably 250 square feet, which was perfect. I mean, really, I don't need much more than that. It was, you know, in a building that is up and coming. The views were okay. But again, I'm not trying to be like, you know, selfish or anything like that. Like, it fit the budget. It would have worked. But then the universe just said, hey, dude, these people want to talk to you. Give them a shot. And, man, I'm glad I did, because it's 10 times the size, and it's going to be so rad. I'm really excited. I'm really pumped for it. I think I could do a lot of good things. And it's right on the downtown Main Street. So Daddy's not going anywhere, just a block away. So I dig it. I am super pumped for it. I hope you guys are too. So keep an eye out. I'm hoping that within the next week and a half, if not sooner, I could start moving down there and getting it set up. So I'm gonna bust out a few solo pods, and then hopefully we can get the guest train going again once we get everything set up at the new location. So I know a lot of you listen because of the guests. I appreciate that, but you're going to have to get used to hearing my voice, at least for the next 3 or 4 episodes. But we'll make sure that that we're pumping out some kind of good content. Because I've got people on the list, and I've got people that are super excited to jump on the pod. They're being patient with me, so I hope you can be patient with me as we move forward. So, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. Usually with this stuff, I just kind of turn the camera on, turn the mics on, and kind of feel the room a little bit and see where we're going. You know, we'll pop on Facebook and go from there. You know, I was taking a piss and I was thinking, oh, what should we talk about today? And oddly, you know, the local stuff comes to mind. If you're listening to this from another city, another state, I want you to think about what it's like to open up Facebook in your community. Because that's where we're going, yo. We're gonna jump right into the FB and see what's going on out there. Although one of the things that's not getting a whole lot of press in our town, in our community, is this fucking bird feeder situation downtown. Yeah. If you're not familiar with it, there is a business in our local community, our local downtown district that, let's just put it this way, they got a lot of shit going on. It's layered, right? And there is an ordinance I think a newly adjusted ordinance that basically says, in a nutshell, you can't feed birds, you can't feed animals, you can't feed whatever fucking mammals. If a dolphin lands on the sidewalk, you can't give it any krill. You know what I'm saying? They don't want you feeding animals downtown. It makes sense because then it just kind of brings more animals downtown. I don't care how you feel about birds, but so the deal is you got to take down your bird feeders, right? Hey, birds will figure it out. They've been figuring it out for millions of years, so you don't need to feed them, okay? And that's kind of what the city's saying. Hey, kindly take your bird feeders down. And the newly adjusted ordinance is like, can't feed the birds. It's one of those things. You got to fucking deal with it. Take your bird feeders down. And this business is like, they're digging their heels in the sand. They're like, hey, go fuck yourself. And it's getting a little annoying. I mean, as an outsider, you know, I was kind of, you know, I wasn't on any side other than, you know, just don't get annoying with this. And they're kind of getting annoying with it. There's a bunch of like signage on their windows now. They're talking shit to the city and other business owners downtown, which is wild to me. You know, I feel like they're taking the stance of like a 6-year-old, you know, like somebody took their toy and they're super pissed and they've stomped off and now they're, you know, they're hiding in their room and they're screaming. But I think it's ridiculous. I don't get it. They feel like they're being personally attacked when in reality they're the ones making the biggest waves and doing the most annoying shit, and everybody else is just trying to like calm the situation. But the more that, you know, the city's tried to calm the situation, it's like fanning a flame, and these individuals are just kind of going off their rocker. I was going to try to find something on Facebook about it. I know that there's some shit out there where like maybe the comments were, but I probably have to scroll a million years through the News Advocate's Facebook page to find it. I mean, it's wild. I feel like they've been on TV talking shit about it. I don't watch TV, but that's kind of like the rumor mill thing. Definitely has been talked about on the radio. Wild. I want to have bird feeders outside. See, now I'm getting to the point where I'm like being super sarcastic about the thing, and it's getting into my headspace, and it's wild. And it's probably because I do participate a little bit politically, so I'm kind of like watching it from arm's length, and now I'm talking about it. So it's become a little bit of a thing. So they got like 2 bird feeders. I mean, just take the bird feeders down and stop throwing birdseed outside. And you know what'll happen? Everybody will be okay. There was a comment somewhere where they were like, well, you know, it's cold outside and they want to make sure that the birds have something to eat. All right, that's sweet and all. But again, I'm pretty sure the birds can figure it out. I mean, I'm not like, was it Steve Irwin? Is it the Australian, like, zookeeper guy? But clearly I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I'm pretty sure that birds can figure it out. It's like feeding deer. So, also, we live in a community where the deer population is out of control. Right? It's out of control in the city. I feel like there's deer the city that I live in, Manistee, the city of Manistee is like 6,200 people. I feel like there's 25,000 deer in the city because I feel like I see more deer than I see human beings walking around. And part of that is because there are some of you that feed deer. And so that becomes an issue. And you're like, oh, well, it's cold out and the poor deer need something to eat. Again, I'm pretty sure they could figure it out. They've been figuring it out for forever. Ever since there was a deer walking around this planet, they found a way to find food, right? Like, we don't need to feed them. It's just like these bird people. Take down your fucking bird feeders. Nobody wants to listen to this shit anymore. And it is a black eye, and it's your black eye. And I'm speaking to the people that own this business. Like, you got to stop. Just fucking stop. Take down the signs, take down your bird feeders, and let's move on from this. Man, I'm getting wound up this morning talking about animals. And quit feeding deer. Stop feeding deer. If you feed deer in the city of Manistee, you have a mental disability, okay? Stop feeding the deer. It's ridiculous. Maybe they'll go someplace else and not run into a fucking car if you stop feeding them. Speaking of animals, when I was a kid, so how many people, a show of hands, when I was a kid, I remember there was this like kind of not very big island patch of grass out in front of Olson's food store, which is, on US 31, going north. For those of you that don't know, Olson's food store was a staple in this community for a ton of years. And when I was a little kid, my dad ran that store. And I remember they brought in an elephant for elephant rides. Wild idea. Let's bring this big-ass elephant to walk around this little patch. When I say this, like a little island patch, I mean it was probably like 1,500 square feet. It wasn't that big. To walk around and you get elephant rides. I was probably, I don't know, 10 or 11. Shit, I was probably younger than that. I don't know. Old enough to remember, so in that range. This thing, how many of you have seen an elephant take a shit before? How many of you have actually witnessed an elephant drop a shit before? You know, when you think back on your life and you're like, what are the memories that stick with you the most? I doubt that there are many people out there that are like, I remember the first time I saw an elephant take a shit. It wasn't traumatic, because I also watched it take a leak, and that was even almost just as wild as watching it take a dump. This podcast is going off the rails. Anyways, it was as if, because they're just feeding it straw, fucking pumping it full of straw, and whatever else is mixed in with the straw. And when that thing went, so like, picture 1,500 square feet, picture, I don't know, a couple hundred people, kids included, all together, parents and kids. Daddy, I can't wait to ride this elephant. And it stops at one point and defecates, right? It was as if, like those rectangular hay bales. That's what it slid out. And it's, whoa, what do we do? What do we do with it? And then it pissed on it. But it was like, picture a fire hose, right? maybe not full blast, but a really good amount of water coming out of that fire hose, right? Just dumping everywhere. It just kept on coming. You know, I can still see it in my head. I mean, obviously, that's why I'm talking about it. Wild to me. Just wild. All these people, all these kids, and it's like, what is happening right now? I don't even remember if they cleaned it up. They just kept walking around it. You know, $5 for a ride, kids. Hop on the back. Big old elephant shit. A big old pile of piss everywhere. Ugh, so bad. That brings me to, by the way, I'm still looking for, Culver's is open. By the way, Culver's is open in Manistee, and it's been doing well. But anyways, stay focused, Jim. Stick to the animals. I thought about this the other day too when I was thinking about the elephant taking that huge shit. Again, when I was a kid. So I'm 45 years old. Things were different. I totally sound like an old man when I say that, but there were things that I got to be around when I was a kid that you'd never be able to have happen today, right? You know, growing up, our parents would say shit like that. Well, you can never do that today. Well, going towards Cadillac, just before Cadillac, there was a gas station. I can't remember the name of it, but it was also like had ice cream. You can get ice cream cones there. They were, I believe, they were soft serve. I'm not a hard ice cream guy. I like the soft serve. But anyways, all right, prepare yourself for this. This gas station, this ice cream shop / gas station, had a black bear caged in the parking lot for years. Right? All right, let me say this again. There was a gas station in Michigan that had a black bear in a cage. Now, the cage, again, I am young, so my memory might be a little off, but I feel like the cage was somewhere in the 150 square foot range. Like, not very big. Smaller than my podcast studio here. And it had like a tree, like a half a tree that was like, it was in there in such a way that the bear could climb the tree, right? Now just picture, this is a steel cage, like a fencing cage. I don't know. Descriptions for me are difficult, but just picture like a metal box cage, about 150 square feet with a tree inside of it. And this was a destination. I mean, you weren't going to this gas station for the ice cream, okay? You were going because of the black bear. I wish, if somebody's listening to this, excuse me, and you remember this caged animal, this black bear, do you remember if it had a name? Do you remember the name of the gas station? Do you remember exactly where it was located? I know it was between Manistee and Cadillac. I know it was going towards Cadillac. But anyways, it gets more wild, dudes and dudettes. You would go into the gas station and get ice cream. And you'd get one for the bear. Yeah, hold on a second. I got to get something to drink here. You'd get one for the bear. I remember my dad going in and getting ice cream for us and getting a vanilla cone for the bear. The bear really liked vanilla. And the key to feeding the bear, if you really wanted to make this an experience, all right, hear me out. If you really wanted to make this memorable, my parents packed us up. No seatbelts. We're going to see the bear. All right. We're getting in the station wagon because everybody who was anybody had a station wagon in the 80s. No seatbelts. I'm probably punching my brother in the arm. My sister's probably fucking crying about something. But we're going to see this black bear. We get up there. We get ice cream. Dad gets the vanilla cone for the bear. All right. Now, what's the key to making this like the absolute best experience ever? What's the key? You got to get the ice cream cone to the top of the cage and land on top. Because then you get this whole like wilderness feel, right? We get to watch the bear like it's in its natural habitat, climb this fucking tree that's laying on its side in the cage, and he climbs to the top of the tree and he licks and eats it, from the top of the cage. I can't make this shit up, folks. We did that. Let's back up a little bit. The guy that owned the gas station got a black bear and put it in a little cage, right? And then encouraged people to come and throw ice cream cones at it like a circus animal. When I was a kid in the 80s, a little kid, I'm telling you, that experience, I mean, it's what brought families together. I mean, insane. Could you do that today? No. But this guy who had the bear at the gas station in a cage that you could feed ice cream cones was like our Joe Exotic. He was like our bear king. Unreal. I don't know. I'll tell you what. It's shit like that. Like when you look back, when you stop and take a moment and look back, like, listen, I'm not condoning caging up an animal for fucking ice cream cones to appease some, middle class family. I can't. But like, you go back and you think about this shit, and you're like, man. I mean, what do my kids? What are they gonna have to look back on, right? When Snapchat came about. I mean, there's like, I started thinking about a lot of this stuff because we're taking our youngest daughter is going on a school trip to a zoo here in Michigan, like sometime at the end of May, and she's super pumped about it. So it kind of got me thinking about these things, the elephant rides, taking those big hay dumps, and our very own Joe Exotic, the Bear King, up in Cadillac, doing his thing with the caged bear. It was the little things, folks. It was the little things when I was growing up that, that are going to stick with me. And then I started thinking about random shit. I don't know if other communities still do this, but let me know what you think. Hold on. I'm telling you, this little throatal situation I got going on, excuse me, it's going to be a problem. So we used to do this thing here in town. Actually, I think it was down here in downtown. Again, this is what I remember. I have a very small memory of this because I think my parents just kind of brought me and my brother and sister during maybe the daylight hours as this. We had like a probably a beer tent, because let's be honest, a lot of these events are that much better with a beer tent. But back then it was probably just Budweiser and Miller High Life. No shade though. I'd love to go to a beer tent where it was just domestic beers. We can make that fun. But anyways, what I'm getting to is they did this thing, it was like cow pie bingo, or maybe not cow pie bingo. You bought like a section of the ground, and they had like cows walking around. And if a cow took a shit, in your square, you won. It's like, yeah, you bought squares or something. It's kind of like, God, what would it be like? I'm having a little brain fudge here. If a cow took a shit on a corner of your square, you won something. Almost like I don't know. I know that I've done these kind of things before. You buy squares, and it's like for basketball games or football games or whatever, you buy squares. Like the Super Bowl, you buy squares, and then if the score is a certain score at a certain time, at the end of the quarter or something, you win money. So there's a pool of money. Everybody's buying squares. Cow shits in your square, you get money. I want to bring that back. I don't know why. I think the reason why it's not here anymore is because it stinks. You got a bunch of cows shitting in a field. We don't really have a field space anymore downtown. But where we could do it is at the fairgrounds, like the county fair. I wonder if they still do like the cow pie contest. I've been disconnected from it for so long. But I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be a really cool event. Yeah, have a beer tent, have some music, and then, get your gambling fix, hoping and praying that a cow takes a shit in your square. I think it'd be great. I wonder how I could get that. I'm sure I could get that going. I'm sure I could get people behind it. You know what I mean? Basically, we'd have to pay for the cows for the day. So, get a little bit of sponsorship money to pay for the cows, and bang, we got us a cow shitting competition in Manistee. Yeah. I don't know. But hey, that's where I'm at today. Bird feeders, elephants taking huge shits, black bears that you could feed ice cream to up in Cadillac, and cows shitting in squares. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Manistee Local Podcast, and stay tuned. I'm going to circle back on the bird feeder shit because I don't think that's coming to an end anytime soon. And who knows? If they watch this, I'm sure now I'll be a part of it. But yeah. Yeah. Cows shitting in squares. Have a kick-ass day.